Hi, hello, and what? No, it doesn't work, does it? I thought, do you know,
It could work.
In my own head, I thought it was a really good Paul McCartney impression, and then
good job you spelt it out for the listening public.
It's one of those things where I think you have to say that, you know, get out the way, Ringo, kind of works more than hello and welcome to the Comedy Slab podcast.
That sounds like Cliff Richard.
No, this Cliff Richard's more like that. Oh, thank you very much. That's more like Cliff Richard.
That's more sort of Cliff Richard 40 years ago.
He's got a cast of thousands. Well, no, he hasn't changed, has he, really? Cliff Richard 40 years ago is the same as he is today, really. It's,
as good today as he's ever been.
Yes. I think he sleeps in cling film or something like that. I'm not quite sure how he does it, but fair play to him.
Possibly comment.
No. Anyway, welcome to the Comedy Slab podcast. I'm Shane O'Connor. I know. In certain nights, could have been Paul McCartney, but no, it's me, Shane O'Connor. He's Adrian Lacey, and together we are the Comedy Slab podcast. Well, together we do the Comedy Slab podcast.
Okay, yeah, fair dues.
If you've not caught up with the podcast before, what can I tell you about what we do? Well, each week we alternately choose a comedy program to watch or listen to, depending on what it is and where it's come from. We'll have a chew over it and tell you what we thought of it and tell each other what we thought of the comedy program. At the end, we'll give it a mark out of 5, giving it a grand total altogether out of 10. And, well, that's about it, isn't it? We'll play you a couple of clips between now and the end of the podcast as well to give you a bit of a flavour for what we've been listening or watching. Actually, it's watching in this case. There's no point in keep saying listening or because...
well, it's watching and listening. In the early days of TV, I was thinking only the other day, they called the audience viewer listeners.
Did
because,
they?
Of course, all they knew was radio up till then. So, well, you wouldn't call them just viewers because that would imply it was mute, but it wasn't. Just saying.
Oh, that's
interesting.
Fascinating. Yeah, it is actually. No, it is because you kind of it's almost unspoken, isn't it? But of course, if it's unspoken, you wouldn't hear it anyway. So
yeah, if it was unspoken, it'd just be viewers. Don't confuse me.
Yeah.
It's confusing enough.
Anyway, my turn to choose last week, and I chose another mockumentary. Well, it could be great, another mockumentary. Depends, doesn't it? You see, so we'll find out as we go on. It's the mockumentary People Just Do Nothing, which originally aired, I think, on, was it BBC 3 originally?
3, before it stopped being BBC 3 and then started again being BBC 3.
Yeah. I think did it go anywhere else in the meantime then? When BBC 3 stopped being BBC 3, did it? I can't remember whether it wandered off into...
Actually, there was a film I read.
Yes.
I hadn't seen it. Yeah. So, yes, it went to the... cinema, unless it was straight release to video. But,
I'm just thinking because there are 5 series, aren't there? I think, and I was just intrigued as to whether it went on any other platform. I don't think so. I've read so much about this that I'm not really quite sure whether it did or not. Anyway, that's what we're looking at this week. Before we do that, though, comedy news. We'd like to pick something out of the comedy news
firmament.
Firmament, that's a better word, yeah. The comedy news firmament. Ooh, I feel dirty saying it. And
trust you.
And have a look what's going on. It's a little one that caught my attention. And again, wasn't it the same last week? It caught my attention, but I thought, I wonder what Adrian to make of this. Because it's right up your alley, to be honest.
Yes, but why would you even care what I think? You don't normally, you never used to.
I do. You will say that. It's like reverse psychology, isn't it? You think if you say that I don't care, that I'll care even more than I do, and I couldn't, you know.
You couldn't care less.
I couldn't. Actually, no, I couldn't care less.
But did you not? Surely you show interest in it for your own sake.
Well, I did, because I kind of think it is that thing where you think, well, I know what I think of it. I wonder what you think of it, because you have more experience in this realm, which is why I value your opinion.
We've gone from a firmament to a realm. God, we're classy. So are we going to explain? Do you want me to explain, or are you going to? I think you're more across this than me.
Well, it is quite a simple concept. I mean, it was just the fact that...
I'm quite a simple presenter.
Yeah,
as you well know.
Yes. It's just that BBC Studios audio, which is something you were talking about last week, wasn't it? It's all BBC Studios now, but BBC Studios audio, is that a thing as well now? Is that? It
most definitely is. Audio is what we used to call radio.
Oh, okay.
Don't even go there, but we're back to viewer listeners, I think.
Anyway, they have hired a couple of contract writers
I thought you were going to call them something else for a moment there. You paused.
You're a right old couple of contract writers you are, aren't you? And there's a couple of things that struck me about the story. Is that first of all, they're kind of I've had a look at their work on the internet, and both of them, I think it's fair to say, are quite new to performance. Certainly, the two in question. I mean, it's not really about them. Cameron Loxdale and Jade Gebby are being hired to write, and I kind of think I found it interesting. On what whether you go for like somebody who's brand new, because they make the point that this contract writer thing had got its origins in the radio comedy writer bursary, which has been going since 1978 apparently, and has seen such writers as Guy Jenkin and Granton Naylor and Simon Blackwell, and Danielle Ward, who's written for Harry Hill's TV Burp. So obviously people have gone on to do great things from this. Is it better to do that or to get great writers in the first place? Well, I'm not saying they're not great writers, but proven great writers in the first place.
I mean, it's a big question, isn't it? How much a great writer's born, and how much can they be developed? And can you turn? I'm not putting the new writers in this category, but if you're less experienced and perhaps a bit more mediocre when you start out, can you be encouraged to be really something special? I don't know. It's like all comedy, I think there's a risk involved, and we shouldn't be too frightened of risks. Talking of the BBC, staying with that theme, when Greg Dyke, the big boss, some years ago came in, he said, "You've got the right to fail," and of course, I'm sure the tabloids twisted that round and said, we've got a new failing DG, Director General. But what he meant was not everything's going to be a hit. And to some extent, he's stating the bleeding obvious. But to give people permission to fail is to actually make them less fearful of risk, which I think is a good thing to do. So
some people would say that was reckless. I mean, because they went on to commission El Dorado and,
we seriously looked at working on that at one point. The hourly rate was quite attractive until you actually worked out, well, hang on, I've got to fly back from Spain every week or, have accommodation out there. But I digress. That didn't pick up a big audience. But, 15 Stories High, Sean Locke, which we slabbed some months ago. I mean, shortly after Sean's death, I think, if I remember the sad order of events. That didn't do massively. It doesn't mean it was a failure artistically. I mean, there's commercial successes and artistic success, and sometimes they overlap in a fine band called the Beatles, in my view, and sometimes they don't. And, my big discovery of the week, since you ask, is Fanny. Are you familiar with them? It's very rare I get silence from you. Well, as a musician, I thought you might know. Well, yes, because they're an absolutely amazing 4-piece tight little rock outfit who happen to be female. Check them out on YouTube. It was the algorithm what done it.
Right.
Because the algorithm of YouTube knows I love the Beatles. And one day I opened it up and there was this band. I thought, is this a pastiche? They were wearing 70s style clothing, bishop sleeves, the long hair and the whole bit. But I thought, is this a joke? And then I saw the name and you think, well, it's definitely a joke, but it ain't. So search for Fanny on YouTube, see where it gets you. Stop it. This is the Comedy Slab. It's not a place of entertainment. Anyway, that was a slight digression, but I thought you'd know them as an old rocker yourself.
I've never seen your Fanny. I don't know where.
And nor will you.
I don't know where it goes.
Nor will you.
Here's I heard you. Here's the thing with So it then occurred to me. I thought, well, why don't you put an experienced writer with a rookie? And then I don't know. I mean, the whole thing of this being a contract writer made me laugh out loud because I don't know if have you seen that sketch with it's Simon Pegg in Big Train where he's a radio DJ.
All off.
And he runs out of puns. and he gets his baseball bat and storms out of the studio, goes down to the basement, and there's a load of kids down there. He's going, write me some puns.
Oh dear.
And I just thought about this contract writer. It's that similar kind of thing. Is it, write me something funny now?
Write me some jokes.
Yeah. Like, how does that even, I mean, is that...
Well, it's a weird world, isn't it? I mean, if you work in a, I don't know, is it typical now to talk about office jobs, especially 2 years into the pandemic? Maybe the very concept of an office job being the norm, but it's quite away from that, isn't it?
It's a strange. I mean, the whole thing is a strange concept, but I mean, I guess it must work, mustn't it? Because people have produced great stuff as a result of it. But yeah, I don't know. Could you do it? I mean, can you see yourself? You go in on Monday morning and you sit there, a blank sheet of paper.
Write me some puns.
What would you? I don't know. I'd end up.
You would. Well, immediately you're assuming they have to go in. Again, this is the office mentality, isn't it? I'd give them some beer money and say, have a boozy lunch and see. No, I wouldn't necessarily do that. But it tends to be quite a hard drinking culture in the world of comedy for a lot of people, not all. And if they don't come up with their best work, at least they feel like they come up with their best work. But it's a tough gig, isn't it? And not every day is going to be a winner, is it? Again, it's the right to fail. You fail on Monday, by Wednesday you might have the germ of a good idea.
Or have murdered somebody, one of the two.
Could be, yeah. It's a close-run thing.
Oh, well, we'll see how it goes, and I wish them
well.
We
wish them luck.
Yeah, wish them some great things, and let's hope it does go in the right direction. Anyway, on to the subject of this week's Comedy Slab, People Just Do Nothing. Is this something that you've you watched more than one episode, you said last week, didn't you?
Did I actually claim that? I'm wondering now. I certainly have watched it. No, I think I said I only watched one episode. I just remember Chaudhry G, who is a corker of a character, I think. Great actor as well.
He is.
He talked about his being the number one dial-up internet cafe, and that just amused me.
In the world of broadband, yeah.
Yeah.
He's not really...
He was so proud of it as well.
Yeah.
But he's a glorious British failure.
And let's face it, we need more of those. Oh,
well, I'm not sure we do, but we seem to be breeding them all right.
We're all right from at the moment. Shall we have a clip and then get into it wholesale, as it were?
Oh, I'd prefer to get into it retail.
Okay, then. What have we got then? If you're new to the series, we get a kind of introduction. As I was actually, I must admit, I'd not seen any of it. I think I'd seen clips, but I don't think I'd actually seen an episode. So if you're new to this series, and this series in actual fact was the second series, we went for series 2, episode 1. If you're new to the series, we kind of get this first introduction to one of the main characters, a guy called Beats. That's his street name. And as a special favour, I'm going to give you 6 bonus points if you can name anyone that you think his character could be based on.
Have you got more attention now you've got the beard?
A lot of attention from the beard, yeah. Getting a lot of the mums down Green Dragon, do you know what I mean, checking me out and that, yeah. Because I know I'm on telly, so they think I got bare money. I ain't, because you lot don't give us no money.
Mish!
You get it!
Mish! Oh, they're here. What up, boys? What's going on?
It's a big day, big event for all of us. It's exciting. Angel becoming a Christian is probably the biggest event she's ever been through other than being born. So yeah, it's pretty big.
Are you a Christian?
I'm not technically christened, but I definitely am a very spiritual person, and I think I have Christian morals. Like, I love Christmas, for example. I love everything about Christmas, like getting presents, eating loads of food. So I think I do believe in God in that way, yeah.
Mish, do you know where my Averex is? Mish, there's glitter all over it.
Huh? Oh, sorry, I've been doing t-shirt designs.
It's hectic, it gets everywhere.
They should have more like christening emoticons, shouldn't they? So what I've done is like a baby's head with some water splashes and then a church. Like, what else?
I don't know, just like smiley face or a gun.
Oh, why a gun?
Godfather, innit?
Love that.
See that?
It'll be one to know headline.
Oh, come on. Oh, are you going to claim your 6 bonus points first?
Oh, I've forgotten the question.
Which character
It's been a long
do
day.
you think that Beats
Beats is based on.
based on?
Oh,
yeah?
is it a fictional character or real poison?
It's a fictional person.
Well, is it an Ali G type thing? Are you thinking?
No, I'm surprised you didn't get it.
No.
Can you get the smell of Brent?
Oh, there's a bit of that. Yeah, we must. We can't get very far without mentioning the exec producer is Ash Atalla, otherwise known as the exec of The Office. It's a mockumentary, though, so there are bound to be overlaps.
Oh, I thought his phrasing and everything was just so. It really put me off. Actually, it was so Brent. I was just like,
That can be a problem with Ash Atalla material, I think, or mockumentaries in general. It's so massively influential, isn't it? The Office, even over 20 years down the line.
Yes, yeah,
with This Country as well, which we've slabbed.
yes.
Previous edition.
Do you want the full list? There's been a few. You could have said,
go on then. Have you got them in front of you, all printed out,
borderline,
laminated?
Borderline. I don't remember that one. Brass Eye, Come Fly With Me, The Day to Day, Derek, Human Remains, Life's Too Short, Look Around You, Marion and Jeff, Mid Morning Matters, Morgana Robinson's The Agency, The Office, Operation Good Guys, People Like Us, Scott Squad, Stella Street, That Peter Kay Thing, This Country, Time Trumpet, 2012, and W1A, to name but a few.
Not so few, but yes. But then, if you listed rom-coms, you'd have a list much longer. So
True.
it's not the end of the world if, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. But there comes a point when you think, if they start looking too much alike, then it doesn't matter what the setting is. You end up feeling slightly shortchanged. Don't you?
Anyway, so on headline, hit me, baby.
Oh God. People just think of. People do nothing when it comes to thinking of headlines in advance. This is on the hoof. I did actually think of one, and it flitted across the brain and flitted straight out again. People just do nothing, but do they want something of me?
My God, what does that mean?
I don't know.
What does that mean?
I like being mysterious. It means I'm trying to be mysterious and pretentious. What? Part of the problem is I've never understood the title. Can you explain and buy me some time to see if I can think of anything better?
Yeah, well, isn't it? People do nothing. But then it's like,
is that an order? People do nothing.
But then it sounds like, people do nothing.
You're not convincing me that you actually understand.
Well, that's how I understood it. I'm not saying that that's how they meant it.
It does occur to me now, since sporting apparel is a big thing in that subculture, possibly.
Yeah.
If that's not too much of a stereotype, is it subverting the Nike "just do it"?
Oh yeah, just do nothing.
Don't
do it. Yeah.
Don't bother.
Everything's a stereotype, isn't it? But there you go.
Yeah.
But
apparently, in the original Nike meetings about that, they said just effing do it, but they had to acknowledge you couldn't actually have the F word on a big poster.
No, that's what happens when you have Coke at lunchtime, isn't it? Though, do you know what I mean? So,
and you don't mean Coca-Cola.
You get very aggressive.
Mild drug references.
Yes.
Right. Yes. Are we any the way? I can't think of a better headline. I'm so sorry.
So did you like it or did you not?
Yeah, I don't know. Perhaps that's why I can't come up with a headline, because you've got to decide.
Maybe we should change the headline thing to, instead of asking for a headline, say, did you like it? And you go yes or no.
And we could move on.
Yeah.
Did I like it? Well, parts of it make me squirm, but then, of course, I think they're meant to make me squirm. So it succeeded in making me squirm. Other bits, you just think, it has this child. She's being Christianed, as they call it, some of the time, and possibly just about enough of the times. Other times they get it right and say she's being christened. But Angel is, 5-6 years old. And she's such a sweetie, but you kind of weep for her soul. She's surrounded by people smoking a crack or whatever they do.
I don't get the impression that they did. I didn't think they were. I think they thought they were that hardcore, but I don't think they actually are that hardcore.
There was a lot of. Oh well, that is part of the joke, isn't it?
Yeah,
they're a bit wet and British.
Yeah,
but there is a lot of smoke around, and they're not. Shall we say they're not fantastic role models to the little angel?
No,
it probably isn't a little angel.
Although, and I like the sub references to the fact that she's the guy who thinks he's her father, quite obviously isn't her father.
Yes, and the one who you suspect is her father is very quiet, and it's quite tragic, really. It's quite clever the way he's acting his socks off, and he's got virtually nothing to say.
Well, they do it largely with looks, don't they? Which is quite an accomplishment, to say the least, really.
Well, it works better than it would on radio, let's put it that way.
Yeah. Can you swivel your eyes a bit more loudly, please? Is that possible?
I can sound like I'm swiveling my eyes. Did you like it?
I
don't know, do you?
I don't know. A lot of people that when I read reviews about it, and I kind of, when I doubt the veracity of what I'm feeling, I always kind of go and look at what other people have said about it. It's a bit of a little sheep thing to do, isn't it, really? But a lot of people said that as the series went on, it got weaker.
Oh, that's a worry.
Yeah, and so series 1 is the funniest by far, and the best from what a lot of people have said. And then as it went on, it became less so. And I kind of I just felt like there was something missing somewhere, and I don't know what it was that hadn't got it. It felt almost like a random collection of sketches, almost like maybe that's because it's the mockumentary thing as well. I don't know.
Well, interesting word, mockumentary. Are we mocking them? Is Atalla mocking that culture? You know, housing estate in London.
Yeah, very much so. And I think, and it's quite interesting, isn't it? Because I think people, if it hadn't been the hit that it was, I wonder whether people would say, well, this is disgraceful and you know, using those horrible terms, punching up and punching down and all that business.
Which I don't find horrible terms.
I do. I think they're just
yeah, but
vile,
you're horrible.
But oh, thank you. But you know, the whole thing, I thought just painted the protagonist in a really bad light. That they were thick, they were ill-educated, they were drug users. It's not exactly a glowing report, is it?
Sorry, are we doing your school report or talking about the programme?
That was just the headmaster, yeah.
Yeah, there is a phrase, Chaudhry G, notwithstanding me saying nice things about him, he doesn't say particularly nice things about his wife. He says she's like a sexy, slutty frisbee. You throw her away and she still comes back. Come on, we're laughing though. And apparently she isn't very nice.
That was funny because I mean, to me, that was about him saying it, is because, you know, he's like trying to pretend he's kind of all that and he's a Jack the Lad and all the rest of it, when in actual fact you're quite clear that he isn't, you know. So it wasn't.
Well, they're all softies really under the skin, aren't they?
Yeah.
In which case you could say that, and perhaps it's not so mocking in the sense that you could argue the show's got a tender heart, really, and that they've got tender hearts, couldn't you?
Well, I don't understand the rules anymore, I'll be honest with you, about this and about what's funny and who's allowed to be parodied and who's allowed to parody whom. And
well, forget what you feel they out there are expecting you to do.
Yeah.
That's a distraction in a way. What do you think of it as you?
It didn't bother me. I mean, it never has. I mean, I've always thought that, I mean, to function, comedy has to have a fall guy, doesn't it? I mean, you know, there has to be almost like a victim of comedy, and whether that's Frank Spencer in, you know, Some Others Do Have 'Em, or whether it's David Brent in The Office. You know, there's always been somebody who is the butt of the joke, isn't there?
I think so. Maybe it's got more complicated in that, well, you just said you don't know what the rules are. We'll put rules in air quotes, but for the sake of argument. But I think comedy generally, I think, is a bit more sophisticated than when you and I were lads. growing up like.
It's less theatrical, isn't it now? Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. But I mean, in terms of whether what I made of it, I mean, I didn't come away thinking, all those poor people, because they're actors, and so
No way.
I thought, oh, you're lucky devils.
Are they pretending?
You got a lovely pay packet for that, and you continue to do well out of it. So, in that sense, it didn't give me a problem. I felt it was a bit of a hammered thin joke by the end of it. I felt 30 minutes, 27 minutes, whatever it was, went quite slowly, and I felt I'd watched the same joke over and over again.
What is that joke?
That these people are stupid and ill-educated and drug users, and and don't look after their children well, and it didn't feel like it was a different. There's just the same gag all the while. That's what. Did you get a sense of that at all, or not? Or do you think it kind of did it run slow for you or not? This.
I don't think it did. I think I did get involved in the story, but notwithstanding, as I was saying earlier, there is that squirm factor.
I mean, I could hear your voice saying when they had the T-shirts made and they put for the girl who was being christened and they put her name on it and a date of her birth and the year of the christening. And you kind of think, who wouldn't think that looked like that it was a memorial T-shirt? I don't. You talk about realism.
Well, you couldn't suspend disbelief.
No, but you say you talk, and I could hear you going, "Oh, where's the realism in that?" You would look at that instantly and go, "Well, that looks like a memorial."
And are you interested in what actually happened as opposed to what you've projected onto me?
No, I'm not saying that you did, but I'm saying that I could. That was me. This is about me, and I was saying that's what I felt at the time I was watching it, and I thought actually that's a pretty fair point, because you'd look at that and you'd go, it looks like a memorial. It looks like she's died. What, you wouldn't do that? And it was quite low, the bar. I thought. I don't know. Did you manage to suspend disbelief on there?
I must have done. I must have bought into it sufficiently, because I did laugh out loud. It was a lols moment, right? Which we now ruined for everyone else, but you still get to see it and see the picture.
There's another 4 series as well. In the four series and another 5 episodes.
You always say that, but I always think we're still ruining one episode for people.
Well, you can't make an omelette without ruining an episode of people just doing
something
nothing.
Like that, yeah. Well, you clearly can't make a cookery show if you don't know how to crack eggs. Yeah. But the thing is, people can always pause the podcast. We trust they'll come back later and watch the show we're slabbing, and then come back and hopefully enjoy our obscuring of it. I mean, our appraisal of it. I enjoyed that joke. It's of a piece with implying they're all a bit thick, isn't it? So there is a sort of guilty pleasure to it. And it's TV types and lovies skewering people on council estates. Although, on the other hand, did I read that, can I read? That the writers, or two of the writers / creators, come from such a sort of high-rise flats in London. I thought I'd read.
Does that make a difference?
Ring any bells? Well, I suppose you could still say you're mocking people, but at least you might cut them a bit of slack in that, well, they do know what they're talking about, as opposed to, looking down on Peckham from their lofty Highgate and Hampstead heights. I wouldn't think as actors go they're necessarily in the Hampstead earning bracket, or they might be now, I don't know.
I did read that they were all at college together, and that the whole thing started on YouTube, which I find quite fascinating. That it kind of they did some spoof stuff on YouTube, and if the PR is right, we're led to believe that it was, somebody saw it and went, oh, we should put this on BBC Three, which I do find that quite interesting and quite fascinating, that's the way that it was picked up. I do wonder whether it's TV executives thinking they need to be more relevant, and so they're scaring YouTube, trying to find the next people that will go on and produce a sitcom for them. But
Yes, but it did make me think, in the context of our comedy news this week, if you can spot someone on YouTube, do you necessarily need to coach them in the traditional linear way, if you like?
Yeah.
With a bursary or sort of to put them on a retainer or something. I don't know. I think there's different ways. What you've got to do is, I think, give people a route whereby they don't have to spend their entire lives working in a garage or a supermarket and never get time to get better as writers. Maybe I'm speaking slightly autobiographically, where I'm squeezing in an hour of writing a day. But I'm not complaining. I've got it good compared to a lot of people, and I've got a few years on me. But what you don't want is people giving up in their mid-20s who could have been comedy geniuses for all we know, but would never give them the chance.
So you're working in a supermarket then? Is that what you're doing the rest of the time?
I was working as a cocktail waitress in a working as a waitress in a cocktail bar.
When I
that much is true.
Yes.
You picked me up, you dusted me off or something.
You mentioned him earlier on, and I think we are in agreement that well, I don't know, you might not, but I wanted to see a lot more of Asim Chaudhry, who plays the Chabuddy G character, because
he is
he was my fave.
In the sense of being a weak character. He's strong comedically.
Yeah.
I could have done with more of him, but you never know. Are we enjoying him just because they got it just right? The amount of exposure, and that perhaps there isn't enough going on with that character to want too much more.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? Is that you want more, and then you get more. You think, no, well, actually, no, it didn't work because it's not strong enough. Yeah, so I guess you're bad burned as scalding, aren't you? I must admit, Allan, Mustafa, and Hugo Chegwin, who are the creators of it, and the two main characters, Grindah and Beats. I thought, there's very obviously a chemistry there, and I quite like them as well. The one that I struggled with a little bit was Lily Brazier, who plays Michelle. And in fact, I found an interview just to find out whether she was posh, yes. And I didn't think she was downbeat enough, down at heel enough for me. She wasn't street enough. Did you get a sense of that at all? Did you get that?
It didn't worry me, but we're all longing to know, what did the interview reveal? That she is lovey-dovey?
Yeah, she's
bourgeois.
I'm not saying she's landed gentry or anything, but she's certainly
cut glass accent.
She's very well spoken. Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
do the RP.
Hello. How are you?
Hello.
But yeah, I don't know. There was just something about it that didn't have that zing. It was okay. It was workmanlike, and
It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that zing.
No. Just, I don't know.
What you haven't mentioned, or I can't remember if he's in this second clip, which we must get onto, but
yeah.
You haven't mentioned the character DJ Steves, who's got the opposite of a drug problem.
You see,
the laughter suggests you liked him.
He said, "Well, I liked his looks. The way he looked at the camera,
he's haunted, isn't he?
Yeah, that was the perfect word. He just got this look on him. I thought that was the worst line in it. I thought, oh no, it was a real groaner where he said, "I don't have a drug problem. I'll try anything, no problem." I thought, oh dear, that's a bit.
That's almost almost an exact reworking of the old. Drink joke, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't have a drinking problem. I have a drink, I fall over.
No
too many drinks, fall over, no problem.
Yeah, but
which is just another alcoholic denial.
I think, I think it was the script for me. I think, and this is what surprised me, because I would have thought, you would call for a decent script editor to go in and knock it about something chronic. And as you mentioned, Ash Atalla, I know he was the producer on the show, but you would have thought he would have been, his experience would have got somebody in to oversee that. But
yeah, he's not exactly lacking experience, and since he virtually defined the mockumentary format as we know it today, post The Office at least, it is a bit of a disappointment. Just shows you can't trade on your successes automatically.
No. Should we have another clip and have another listen and see what else we can glean from the bits that we're hearing. A little bit later on in the episode, apologies if there is it's got me paranoid now about whether I'm giving you a spoiler or not. I guess everything's a spoiler, isn't it? But we get to the episode, we finally get to the kind of meat and taters of the whole story. We get to see Angel's christening.
Angel, do you wish to be baptized?
Say yes, Angel. Yeah.
Yes? Well done. Let us pray.
Hands together, everybody. Or not? Is it? Hands together.
Here we are washed by the Holy Spirit and made clean. Here we are clothed with Christ, dying to sin that we may live his risen life.
Decoy,
As children of God.
shout out Angel for a bit.
If you want.
Yeah. Come to Uncle Bake. Yeah, come on.
You give to your faithful people new life in the water of baptism. Guide
all right.
and strengthen us by the same.
Just stand closer to me than Uncle Decoy, yeah?
May serve you in faith and love and
your
grow
family over
into
there?
the full stature of your Son, Jesus Christ.
Oh, I'm
in the unity
Decoy.
of the
I
Holy
bring my
Spirit,
family with me.
now
I
and
want to be
forever.
godfather.
Amen.
Pathetic.
And now we come to the responses. Do you reject the devil and all rebellion against God?
Everyone, yes.
I reject them.
The responses are on the sheet.
Oh, on the sheet.
I reject them.
I reject them.
Yeah. Do we reject that? I mean, a little bit of a soft target having a middle-class vicar, as if there's any other sort, generally. But I still enjoyed it. Of course, he has to be bold, doesn't he? But to make us sure that he's not a character that we're meant to warm to, the vicar, he's not allowed to have short. The remaining hair doesn't have to be. It should not be cut. Have you noticed that as a baldy?
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting show, but it's just the sort of show that demonstrates why I'm a bit of a Unitarian, even though I might have claimed to have watched perhaps 2 episodes of this instead of 1. I feel no drive, and I'm not sensing it from you either. But to go back to it again, but it might again be an age thing as well, because as you had to say to your 90-something father, BBC 3 wasn't going to be his natural home, was it?
No.
Bless him.
No, he was always concerned that there was never anything on BBC 3 for him to watch. So it's because the demographic's 14, Dad, that's why.
They're about a quarter of his age.
Yeah, I said, I can't watch it, so you've got no chance really, But I mentioned that I'd looked at other reviews. I went on IMDb just to have a look at, see what people had said about it. It's incredible really that it kind of gets from, this is from, normal people reviews. Not reviewers who do it for a living. It mainly gets 8, 9s and 10s out of 10.
Really? I thought you were going to say it was a Marmite show, that it would be extremes.
No, there were very few in the lower reaches, but very, very high. I think which suggests to me it's kind of got a bit of a cult following.
Yeah.
Maybe people who understand the world of urban music kind of get. I mean, somebody described it as the office of urban music, So maybe that's a kind of thing that it appeals to them. And it sent me off on a tangent. Somebody they gave it 1 out of 10 and said it was increasingly contrived as Flanderization starts to set in.
Is that as in Flanders and Swan?
No, it's as in Ned Flanders from The Simpsons, believe it or not. It sent me on like a 20-minute search of what the.
Is he the one in the pub? Goofy drinker.
He's the next door neighbour who's religious.
Right.
And he's good old God-fearing Ned Flanders. But Flanderization apparently is the process where a single element of a character's personality, which is often originally a mild element, is inflated in importance over the course of the work until it becomes the primary defining characteristic. And with him, it's his religiosity. It's the fact that he was just hiya neighbour, and we're going off to praise God or whatever, and it'll be a small part of it. When in the end he's become like a crazed Bible thumper.
Absolutely, and we're not getting the subtleties of. I don't listen to pirate radio stations playing grime. My heart is.
And now here's another one on the squeeze box.
Mama's got a squeeze box. There would be some stuff that you would have to understand, that subculture, the grime scene and all of that, which I don't. and leave it to the people to whom that is more their milieu, if you will, where they move and have their being. I think we should do our markings now. We've said it all, have we not? Is it time to put the numbers where our mouths are?
I think we should do our internet providings, definitely, yes. I won't drag it out. I'll go first. I won't drag it out. It's a 2 for me, for all the reasons that I've currently stated. But then I kind of, like I say, to qualify that, I'm not even sure it is for me in the sense of...
I'm not even sure you're qualified.
From an age perspective, for a start, I don't think it's even for me. So maybe that's... But yeah, I didn't. I felt that there's something missing.
I think it's your youth. It's just gone out the window.
And I'm missing that, yes.
I thought you might give it 2.5. I'm inclined to... What am I inclined? I'm going to give it a 3, which is sort of fudge in a way. It's sort of trying to say, yeah, there's definitely some plenty to like in it, maybe even to love. Not for me, but I think someone else could find it at 3.5, 4. Well, you've said, out of 10, people were giving it, what did you say, 7s and 8s?
8, 9s and 10s. 8, 9s and 10s all the way, yeah. So
can't really quite compete with the 10 out of 10, but for me, 3 out of 5, which I think is a sort of compromise.
All right, 5 out of 10. For people just do nothing. And the good news is, if you want to go and watch the whole of the 5 series, they are available to watch for some considerable period of time. It's a Roughtcut production for BBC. What have we got for next week then, Saucy?
Well, I thought you were going to say the good news is that you can watch it, or if you didn't like it, that's the bad news as well.
Yes.
I thought, discussing with my learned girlfriend the other week, we've never done... well, I'm not going to use the exact expression. I'm trying to find what I've written down, which is absolutely hilarious. You'll love this. If I was to say there's a show that recommends ejecting the deceased quadruped, what might I be talking about?
Oh, well, yes, drop the dead donkey.
The very same, which seems a bit unkind, but it is dead, so it's not going to feel much once you drop it. We'll talk about the other proposed title, allegedly, that that show was given. But do you find it a bit strange? What are we now? Episode 189-ish, if not bang on the nose, and we haven't put this on the slab before?
No, not at all, really. Because I think it's kind of disappeared into the mist of time, doesn't it? It's not one, although we kind of, I know we've referenced it over previous episodes, but it's not one that, I don't think I could quote a line from it.
But that doesn't mean it's not been influential.
No, not at all. But I just kind of think it's not uppermost in people's minds anymore, whereas other things are,
Right. Well, we will put it more in the foreground, I think.
All
that
right.
probably is a good argument for doing it. I've gone for, the only series I can see on Channel 4, but it is easily accessible. So you'll find this on your All 4 app or channel4.com, certainly in the UK, and I think possibly outside. Series 1, Episode 5. I thought I'd go for a sort of mid-series.
If you've enjoyed the Comedy Slab podcast, don't forget you can go back through our archives.
We've been doing this too long.
Very carry on, isn't it?
We're not going through my archives, that's for sure.
But yeah, you can catch up with all the other. Is it 187? Is it 188?
88, something like that.
189. Yeah. So there's a lot for you to. Oh God, that will keep you busy on a warm summer's evening, won't it? You can sit there with your glass of Chardonnay and get slowly drunk listening to idiots talk about comedy programs. But yeah, if you can, I know you will listen to it wherever you want to, but if you can, Spreaker would be good for us. I'll say no more than that.
We need the money.
So from us, MC Shane and DJ Lacey, DJ Lacey Knickers,
We're so sophisticated.
We are sophisticated, aren't we, really, to be honest with you? But
be that as it may, I'm going along to YouTube and I'm going to search for Fanny. And I suggest you do the same.